I'm Rich Heffron. This is this week's legislative report. Busy week. The end of the legislative session is Thursday. Actually, it'll end on Friday morning about 1, 2, or 3 o'clock in the morning. It's also the week that we celebrate 4th of July on Sunday. Anyway, as far as the legislative session, there are several things left up in the air. One that is not left up in the air is the operating budget. It's done. The Speaker of the House said they'd like to vote on it before Thursday. That is the one requirement they have, to put an operating budget in place before the new fiscal year starts on July 1st. So that can be expected to be accomplished sometime Tuesday, Wednesday, or earlier on Thursday. Last week, we told you that DEFAC met on Monday. We told you that we would update you on exactly what the findings were. The findings were that they have $22 million less in revenue projected than they had in May. When you take that back to the beginning of the year, the consequences are, after cuts have already been made in the operating budget, they have $32 million less to spend on grant and aid and in the bond bill and infrastructure. I was told the Grant and Aid Committee, the Joint Finance Committee, will meet tomorrow to look at Grant and Aid. Should have a bill by Wednesday. Thursday is the latest, and no schedule for the Bond Bill Committee, but they'll obviously have to meet in the next 2 days in order to have a bill ready for legislative consideration Thursday, or they could even do it sometime early Friday morning, depending when they get there. A couple bills that we're keeping eye on, a couple of issues actually that we're keeping an eye on, including bills. One is they left out of the operating budget funding for Dimer and Diner. Dimer and Diner are two programs that train dentists and doctors. The dentists are trained at Temple University, the doctors at Jefferson Medical Hospital. Both those we have designated spots for Delaware people. The people who accept those, it's actually scholarships, they agree that they will serve in dentistry or medicine, depending what the degree is, in an underserved area in Delaware. This is an important program. With the state chamber have supported it. It's been in effect for 40-some years. We think it's important. The last thing you want to do is lose those spots at the Temple and the medical school at Jefferson. And obviously we need to put doctors in places and dentists in places where they're needed. The insurance commissioner has come up with $1 million that she will invest in the program. The legislature is looking for $800,000. At $1.8 million, they can make the program whole. It's an important program. We certainly support those efforts. We're also keeping a bill on. Keep an eye on the CARE Act, which deals with people when they're dispatched from the hospitals in this state. They are sent with a caregiver. The caregiver is given instructions on how to take care of that patient. This puts it in statute and kind of quantifies exactly what the instructions should be. In the Senate, they put an amendment which would allow lawsuits against the hospital if the caregiver did not follow through. We thought, and obviously the people at the hospitals and others think that's not the purpose of this legislation, and it would be damaging. Thankfully, they came to a type of agreement on Thursday to amend the bill in the House. It seems like everybody's on board, the trial lawyers and the hospitals. It'll pass the Senate with the amendment and go back to, we'll pass the House with the amendment, then go back to the Senate sometime on probably Wednesday or Thursday. Also, we're keeping on House Bill 803, which deals with workers' compensation. What the bill would do, it would add, there was some confusion with the PIP program, which deals with traffic accidents and workers' comp. When somebody's in an accident, whether on some type of a work-related trip, the court has ruled that PIP takes first precedent, and then we have workers' comp. It's been up to the employer to decide if they want to include long and short-term disability and uninsured motorist coverage also, if that person happens to be injured. What this would do is put in statute that all four of the PIP, workers' comp, long-term and short-term disability, and uninsured motorists would all be included the coverage that the person would receive. We don't believe that's the purpose of the workers' comp legislation. That bill will be up in the Senate tomorrow. There are several amendments. We'll see where that ends up. Also, House Bill 437 was issued this week. It is a substitute, really, for House Bill 283, which had project labor agreements in it. What this does, it requires that if you do state work, you had to have an apprentice program. It's a little complex because there's some trades that there are not apprentice programs in the state of Delaware, run by the state of Delaware. This complex problem. The bill has not come out of committee yet. It'll be in committee, I believe, tomorrow. I guess it did come out of committee last week. I'm sorry, when it was introduced, but it's not put on the agenda yet. So we'll see where that goes. We think that's a complex issue that should not be considered in the short term. And lastly, House Bill 418, which we support. It deals with money that would go to training programs in the state through the Workforce Investment Board. Last year, the tax had been lowered a couple of years ago, and last year the amount of money that was collected couldn't meet the needs. This is an important program. It is a public-private partnership. The board is always headed by a member of the private sector. The money is distributed by committees in the board, which includes members from labor, business sector, and government. We think it's an important program. This is a 0.2% increase for business, and it takes it back to actually where the tax was in 2013. We think that's important because we think it's a good program. It's like I said, a public-private partnership, which we urge more of, so we support that, and hopefully that House Bill 418 gets passed by the House and the Senate this week. Anyway, that's it for this week. We'll keep you updated. Should be, as always, an interesting few days, and sometime on the Friday morning it'll all end, and we'll update you next week. Thank you.